Okay, Justin, I'm going to spotlight you so you can get started. There you go. It's all you.
Well, good morning, everybody. Is everybody doing okay today? Give me a thumbs up if you're doing good. Fantastic. I know y'all don't see my face very often since I joined Smith & Associates. Well, I had the opportunity to join Smith & Associates early on and decided against it because I didn't want to make a lot of money, but now I do. So I've been with Jason for the last 2 or 3 years now, a couple of years, I guess. I joined in March of 2020 and was able to make it to one whole meeting before we all went into quarantine. But for those of you that don't know me, I'd love to meet you in person. My name is Justin Hamby. I'm one of the executive brokers here, and I work mainly out of Benton County and usually out of the Bentonville office. I've known Jason. Jason's like a brother to me. I've known Jason for many years. I think we both got started in the same year, 2004. Is that right, Jason? I can't remember. But he's somebody that I've always modeled or tried to model some of my business practices off of. Obviously, he's one of the most successful agents in Northwest Arkansas. He made it to the third page of the list this year. I don't know if y'all noticed on the how much he sold, but he made it to page 3. So that's a pretty big accomplishment for anybody. I know he's working on that top spot though, and he won't stop till he gets it. But I've enjoyed working with Jason, and I love working for Smith & Associates. It's been one of the best moves of my career. And I want to talk about today. I want to talk about effective prospecting. And I teach. This is not normal. This is not something that I'm not used to. I teach quite a bit nationwide for a different thing. My second vocation is I'm a children's evangelist. I'm a kids pastor. I'm a licensed minister with the United Pentecostal Church, and so I travel the country and internationally teaching teachers how to teach kids. And I have found that a lot of the same skills that we use for evangelism works in the sales environment. It's very cool how there's very little difference in the skills that you need when talking to people and teaching them and how to teach kids, how that translates into real estate. And so I'm basically going to talk to you about something that I love to do, which is to talk. I love to talk. I talk so much. I'm a big talker. And we're going to talk about how to engage people out of the blue and then turn that into a potential sell, right? So I would like to give you an example. Besides real estate, let's go to, I'm gonna call somebody out here. Somebody I know. Let's see, who's somebody I know? I'm looking here. Let's see. Hey, Travis. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. Travis bothers me a lot. He sells so much real estate that every day I know I'm going to wake up to a text. Hey, man, I sent you something to sign every day. And what I have found is with Travis, it's so much easier to just do it than to say, okay, give me a minute. Because in the amount of time it takes me to say, okay, give me a minute, I'll take care of it, I could have just signed it. Because it's going to be about another hour. He's going to send me something else to sign. Hey, Travis, I got a question for you. Besides real estate, what is something that you love to talk about?
I usually like to talk about vacations or my next trip, or I'm also a pretty big like aviation geek also, but probably my main things.
Aviation? Do you fly?
Well, funny story. I was going to get my pilot's license. I got all the way up to landing, which is like the most important part. And no, I can't do it. So I can appreciate anybody that can.
So I had a friend that's a pilot, and he had a plane. And when I was traveling for a vendor for Walmart, he used to fly me around, and he'd always tell me, he said, "Man," he said, "landing is just a controlled crash."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that didn't make me feel better.
No.
But it felt, maybe he was just really bad at landing. But his job, he always tried to make it so that he was super smooth when he landed. He wanted to really impress me with his landing ability. And anyway, so I remember that. He was a builder, actually. And yeah, do you know any builders that are also pilots?
Not off the top of my head, no.
No. It worked out really well for him because he could. What's that?
I said my dad was a builder and a pilot.
So it's really cool because I've seen where that's happened a few times, where a lot of pilots I know also build houses, and it works out really well in their particular industry because they can survey their areas a lot easier. So that's really cool. I didn't know that you were into aviation. I've always wanted to be a pilot, and so whenever he would take me up in his airplane, man, all I could think of was, I can't wait until I get my pilot's license. And then here I am 6 years later, still wishing that I'd have done it. Yeah. And it's still on my list of goals to do. But that's something that I'm passionate about. Hey, Bill, what's something that if you wasn't in real estate, what's something else that you really love to talk about? I think you're still muted, Bill.
My interests are pretty wide. I like to talk about travel. I like to talk about out west and Arizona and Utah, New Mexico.
Man, I just got back in November from going out west. We went and saw White Sands. We saw the Grand Canyon. We made it all the way. This last year, of course, I bought an RV in 2020. We got I have 4 daughters now, and we traveled all the way from Key West to the end of Route 66 within 1 year. I've put over 20,000 miles in my RV this past year, and
Awesome.
I love to travel. What's your favorite place to go to in Utah? Because there's like 5 national parks there.
I really like to go to Moab as a base of operations, and then you can pretty much hit all of those national parks from there. Just across.
Man, we went to
Utah.
Moab. When we went to Moab, they told us, they said, "Hey, before you go to Arches National Park, which is in Moab," they say you want to go see the Grand Arch. The Grand Arch is that big arch that's on all of Utah's marketing. It's on their license plates.
Yeah.
It's so they told me, they said, "You need to go see the Grand Arch." And there's a trail that goes to the Grand Arch, and they said you need to go in the afternoon, late in the afternoon when it's nice and cool. Do not go in the middle of the day. Well, guess what time we made it there? 1 o'clock on August 3rd.
I bet it wasn't crowded.
It was horrible. Now, if you've never been over there, that trail is only 1.5 miles, but it's like a 600-foot climb.
Yep, it's uphill all the way. That's right.
Man, that was rough. Well, we did it though, and I had my daughters with me, and my 10-year-old at the time, she finally got to the top, and man, I was so excited, and we had worked so hard to get up there, and we got up to the top, and you turn this corner, and then there's this big beautiful arch, and my daughter is sitting at the top of the trail, and she's crying, and I thought, oh, she's caught up in the beauty of the moment. She's finally seeing how how much this paid off. And I got to the top. I said, "Bailey, what do you think?" And she goes, "It's just a rock." Like, I don't know what she thought she was going to see. I don't know if she thought she was going to see like a McDonald's or a Disney World. No, it's just a rock, baby.
That whole area is nothing but a bunch of rocks. So I guess
that's all it is. They're pretty though.
They are.
So hey, what I just did, this whole point, I could do this to everybody in this room. I could go around this whole room and I could ask you all a whole bunch of questions and make some sort of connective story that I have, something completely out of the blue. What I'm doing is I'm looking for commonality with whoever I'm talking to. I'm looking for some sort of common ground, because it's only from there that I can start talking about real estate. So if I ask Bill, or if I ask Zach, or if I ask anybody, hey, what do you do? What do you do? I'm not asking you what you do for a living. I'm not asking you what you do for fun. I'm just saying, what do you do? However you answer that is going to determine the next round of questioning that I go for. So eventually the conversation is going to go to me. It's going to say, hey man, what do you do? What's something that you're passionate about? And I say, man, I've been selling real estate for the last 18 years. I teach kids. I'm also a musician. They say, you sell real estate? Yeah. You want to buy a house? And that is always the answer to that question. Anytime somebody asks me, anytime, doesn't matter what restaurant I'm in, what church I'm in, or even what state I'm in. It does not matter, whatever environment that I'm in. Anytime somebody says, are you a realtor? Do you sell real estate? Even just trying to get information, trying to find commonality. The answer to that question is yes. You want to buy a house? And I will tell you that even if you do it as a joke, that you will almost always get the response, man, either they are in the market for some sort of real estate product, or they know someone who is. Almost always, you will find out that within 2 levels of their relationship with somebody, they know somebody that's looking to buy a house, they're looking for somebody that's needing to sell a house, or they themselves are looking to buy or sell. And a lot of times they'll come across and they'll say, man, I would love to buy a house, but I'm renting right now. All I can ever do is afford to rent. Like, well, how much do you pay in rent? And right now, you and I both know that it's an insane amount. And if they can afford to pay today's rent prices, they can almost certainly get into a house. Oh, but Justin, you don't understand. My credit is terrible. Well, guess what? I've got a solution for you that's going to work. And if this is something you're serious about, I can help you. Now, I'm not trying to get them on my side immediately. I'm not trying to be like, hey, let's go look at houses this weekend. I'm not trying to do that. I've got clients that I've been working on for 4 and 5 years, trying to get them to buy a house. I've got clients, and I know a lot of you do too, but they know now that I've planted that seed. And the most important thing that you can do when you're prospecting like that, and whenever you're in these conversations, is you're just planting seeds. That's the most important part of any prospecting scenario when you're out in the open, as I like to call it. It goes back to when I've been selling real estate for 18 years this year. It's been a long time. And this was really a tactic that I picked up after I got out of the recession. And I ended up having to go and deliver pizzas to make ends meet in the car that I bought when I became a broker. So there were some tough times. But I joined a company really for only a couple of years. I was with them, called Mosaic. Mosaic was a vendor, and they did what was called experiential marketing. Has anybody in Northwest Arkansas heard the term experiential marketing? Raise your hand if you've ever heard of that term, experiential marketing. Anybody? Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you about experiential marketing. So you know about regular marketing, right? You know about social media, you know about print media, you know about newspapers, televisions, social, Facebook, Instagram, marketing. So what is marketing, right? Marketing is whenever you're putting yourself out there, you're putting out an advertisement to get people engaged in what it is that you're trying to sell, right? And we use a lot of effective marketing. We use postcards and we use ourselves. We use cold calling. We do knocking on doors. These are all forms of marketing. What I want to talk to you about is called experiential marketing. And this was a term that I really learned to love in my business. What experiential marketing is that the customer participates in their own sales pitch. They effectively sell themselves through the experience of your sales pitch, right? So you're creating an experience. Now, an experience could be an open house, a showing. It could even be a conversation. My wife will tell you that I'm an experience. Just having a conversation with me is a whole experience that you have to endure.
That's the truth all the way.
Mike knows. Oh man, hey Mike, glad you could join us this morning. But experiential marketing, when I was at Mosaic, we had 3 different ways that we measured how we dealt with customers, right? We had what were called views, we had what were called interactions, and then we had engagements. So when you have a view, what that meant is that people were aware of our presence. They saw us and they were aware of us. Now, I'm a big personality when I'm in sales mode. So what we would do is we would go into these stores, and my official title back then when I was working for this program, get this, I was the Walmart gamer, because I love to play video games, and they specifically hired me to sell video games to people standing in the stores. So whenever you would go into Walmart, you would go to the game section and you would look at all the video games, and then I would walk up and be like, hey, do you like that video game right there? How would you like it on a console? And I would try to sell them whatever it is they were looking at. I would try to get them to put it in their cart, right? So we had views, interactions, and engagement. So whenever I would stand in the aisle or stand in that department when it was really slow, and people would walk by Action Alley and they would have their shopping carts full of bananas and diapers or construction equipment or groceries or whatever it was. And we had to do what was called shop the cart. And we would try to make a connection between what they had in their shopping cart and into the product that we were trying to sell. And we would try to say, so like, for example, if we saw bananas, we might make a comment, hey man, I see you got bananas. It kind of reminds me of Donkey Kong. Or, throw that banana behind you and make sure the person behind you slips like in Mario Kart. Just something silly, but it would make some sort of interaction. Our goal wasn't to just let them see us. It was to get them to respond and react, because we didn't just want views. We wanted at least an interaction. And an interaction was when I was able to speak to them and we were able to get to a greeting or an introduction where I could at least hand them a flyer or a card. That was an interaction. And we were expected to hand out something like 500 to 800 cards a day to people walking by in a store in a 4-hour shift. That is a significant amount of people that you're talking to. I mean, it's non-stop. It's easier when you had a lot longer day to do it on the weekends, but in a 4-hour shift, we were trying to do 100 cards an hour minimum. And that was our metric. And then we had what were called engagements. And that was when they asked a question about the product or the experience. So if we were able to hand them a card and they would say something like, I love video games. When I was a kid, I used to play video games all the time, right? And so I could do a show of hands here. How many of you, this sales pitch would have worked for you? I could have turned you into a buyer for a video game console just based on your experience that you had when you were 10. That was my job. And not only that, we were able to turn that one sale. We had a job to do. It's called the +1 theory, where we had to do one sale and then we had to add something to it. So if you were there to buy a console, we were supposed to sell you a game. If you were there to buy a game, we would try to sell you another controller. If you were there to buy a controller, we would try to sell you a game. So if whatever you were there to do for one thing, we would add it to another. And I asked, when we were kind of having a slump in sales, I got to meet the actual buyer for video games for Walmart. And he really broke it down for me. He said, Justin, he said, don't ever feel like you're pressuring people to do this. He said, whenever they come into the Walmart store, when they come into the store, there's almost, he said something like 2,000 people an hour coming to the Walmart front door, especially in Northwest Arkansas. He said, I've got 2,000 people an hour. He said, when you have that many people coming through, they're there for a purpose. They're there for a reason. They're just waiting on somebody to reveal it. He said, nobody walks into a Walmart and doesn't buy one thing. How many times have you ever gone window shopping in a Walmart supercenter? Right? Hardly ever. If you're going to a Walmart, there's a reason why you're going there. And especially if they're going into the video game section, there's almost certainly something that they're trying to buy. This same exact concept happens in an open house. This same exact, you can actually create the same exact concept when you start talking about real estate. If they're talking about it, if they're at your open house, all they're waiting is for you to make the connection with them that's going to say, I'm the person that you need to be talking to. They're looking for that peace of mind. They're looking for that just whatever it is, that secret sauce that's going to tell them, this is the person I need to be working with. I don't need to be going to all these open houses unattended or without supervision or without somebody guiding me, because I found my expert right here. Anytime. And so that's the kind of attitude that you've got to go into when you're prospecting. I'm the expert. You are the expert. You're a licensed agent. So you already have more expertise than the average customer. I don't care if the customer has bought 4,000 houses in the last 10 years. If they're not licensed, they don't have as much experience as you, and they certainly don't have the tools that you have, right? Because you have a collective amount of people that are here to support and help you and make you more successful. So you want to make your important data collecting questions when you're talking to these people. You want to make it seem so seamless that they don't even know that they're being shopped. For example, when I was talking about my conversations with David and with Travis earlier, the point of that was to build rapport. It was to create a commonality so that we can eventually work into a real estate conversation, right? And if you saw me in the field do it, you would say, oh my goodness, that was so slick. I didn't even realize we transitioned from talking about airplanes to buying houses. And it's taken a lot of experience and it's taken a lot of practice to do that. But it comes from experience. It comes from doing open houses. It comes from doing live videos. It comes from practicing at restaurants. You know, I get a lot of grief for eating at Waffle House a lot. And I do eat at Waffle House a lot. I love Waffle House. Okay. But you know why I really love Waffle House? I'm working 3 clients at Waffle House right now. I'm working, the store manager is moving to North Carolina. And just from having a conversation with him, he said, man, I'm moving to North Carolina. It's like, oh man, when's that going to happen? He said, sometime in February. Really? I said, what part? Charlotte? Oh, I was just in Charlotte not too long ago. And I start talking about all the things that I did in Charlotte. You know, I said, so what are you going to do? You're going to rent or you're going to buy when you get there? Well, you know, I don't know. I'd hate to rent in this market because Charlotte's so expensive. It's like, man, you ought to buy something. Your money won't go to waste. You know the drill. Why am I trying to sell him a house in Charlotte? Right? Well, Jason knows the answer to this question because we have agents in Charlotte. And I've already connected him with an agent that's going to get him connected into the community. And I already worked out a 30% deal with this guy. And he's already shopping houses. And whenever he gets there in 2 weeks, he's going to make an offer on a house because they've already found a place they want to go to. So I'm making money on a deal in Charlotte just because a guy told me, hey man, I'm going to miss you. I'm not going to see you when February gets here. I have probably sold 10 houses and helped people transfer their quality of life just from working at a Waffle House, just from going into a Waffle House and having breakfast and listening to conversations. But Waffle House is just one example. I also do the same thing when I go to Slim Chickens and Abuelos and Chili's and anywhere. There's always somebody in these environments that is trying to find a solution to their housing needs. And they're just waiting on somebody to come up to them and say, hey, I can help you. I've done it so many times. And it's just come from the place of, hey, do you sell real estate? Yes, I do. You want to buy a house? I've sold houses to people from Oregon and Northwest Arkansas when we would have conventions here in Northwest Arkansas. Somebody would come from a different part of the country and they'd say, hey man, how do you like it here? Oh, it's great. What do you do when you're not preaching? Oh, I sell real estate. Oh, you sell real estate? Yeah. Hey, you want to buy a house? You know what, Justin? I'm actually looking for an investment property. and I was trying to figure out the right place to go. And that's crazy that you sell real estate. I've sold 2 investment properties in the last year just from talking to people from other states about buying here. Just closed on one recently, $235,000 house. And all it was he was needing an Airbnb, and he needed the right place to do it. You're the expert. Your experience is secondary to your expertise. And which goes back to, as long as you're licensed, you have more tools and resources at your disposal to be able to confirm and to be able to move on these people from just an introduction to a full-blown engagement. Now, the next thing I want to say is, and as I begin to wrap it up here, give people a simple, easy task to complete. In every conversation you have, if your conversation evolved into real estate, you need to end that conversation with a simple task and a follow-up date. Right? So if they said, man, I would love to be able to get out of renting, I want to be able to buy someday. Hey, I got a lender that I need you to talk to. I'm going to give you his number, and then I will send them his whole application. I've got a friend that's a lender. He said, send people my PDF application that they can fill out and send to me. So I will do that. I'll say, hey, I got this guy's application. All you got to do is fill it out. You may not be approved, but he'll be able to help you figure out a way to get approved within the next 3 to 6 months. He's got a program that's phenomenal. He converts renters to buyers. And if this is something you're really serious about, 6 months is not hard to ask for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you his info, and then I'm going to put a calendar reminder in my own calendar that says to follow up with so-and-so Waffle House, Fran at Waffle House. Call her and ask about her loan, or send her a text. Hey, were you able to send that to Nathaniel? Yes or no? Because there's some things that they have to do on their own to determine their seriousness of it. But I promise you that follow-up, that 24-hour, 48-hour follow-up is going to be essential in locking that person down. Because as long as you're regular in your follow-up, and Jason knows this too, this is part of the whole ninja prospect, is getting this follow-up done. But it's something that it's a core thing that you have to do, even if you don't follow the ninja process, which I highly recommend that you do. But follow-up is going to be the key. A lot of people say this too, and one of the main things that we have to do is overcome objections. They'll say, man, I just don't trust realtors. I had a really bad experience. And then I will find a way to overcome that objection. I'll make light of the situation. Like, man, I don't like some realtors either. I've been doing this for 18 years. There's only about a handful of them that I trust, and I'll say something like, I'll get them on my side, or I'll pull in some empathy, and I'll say something like, it sounds like you've dealt with some tough situations. I wish I could have helped you back then, but lucky for you, I'm here now. Let's see what we can do to help you. And I'm not going to give up on them. I'm going to change their perception by my effectiveness. And that has been very effective in helping me convert people, because they've gone to, by the time we've gotten to closing, they've completely changed their minds. They're like, man, I didn't realize that real estate was supposed to be easy. Well, that's my job. My job is to make this process very simple and very easy for you. And I'm sorry that you dealt with that in the past. And the most important thing that we can say to any client, when whether you're dealing with experiential marketing, or you're dealing with, especially in your ninja process, whenever you're prospecting, ultimately, you want them to understand that we're in this together. I'm going to help you. We're going to do this together. This isn't something that I'm just going to give you a whole bunch of things to complete. You're going to be on your own. No, I'm going to be with you every step of the way. And you're giving them peace of mind. You're giving them confidence, and you're giving them competency, which is a huge asset whenever you're trying to make a sale. That is pretty much what I have. I'd love to answer any questions. Does anybody have any questions for me about some of the effective prospecting tactics that I've talked about? Anybody at all? All right. Well, hey, that's all I've got for you. I'd love to answer any questions if you have any. You can call me. I'd love to talk to you about it in person. I'm available anytime. I know that I travel a lot, but let me tell you, I'm always available to talk to you about real estate. I love talking about it. I'm very passionate about it. And if you ever just need to pick a brain, just give me a call. You're not going to pick a whole lot, but I've got some experience I can certainly share with you. Jason, I'm gonna throw it over to you. Do you have anything you want to add?
I don't know if Jason's on. He said he was going to rest today.
Okay, perfect. All right, folks. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining today. I feel honored to have been able to speak to you. I hope that it's helped you. I hope that you've been able to at least glean something from it. And I really appreciate all of your hard work and all of your effort. I'm watching everything you're doing, and I'm loving it. You guys are all amazing. So go out there and go tell somebody you sell real estate. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, Justin.
You, Justin.
Yeah, buddy.
Thanks, Justin. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Felicia.
All right, you guys have a
It was
good day.
nice to see you.
Justin,
Thank you. It was nice to see your face, Justin. I haven't actually met you in person yet.
Oh, yes, Tana. Yeah, we actually had didn't we have a Zoom call not too long ago? I saw you. I don't know if you saw.
Yeah, I did. I saw you. So that's cool. We need to meet in person someday. That'd be nice.
I know. I'm going to make it over there eventually.
Cool.
He's too cool for school.